Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Annie Z with What If Naruto Had the Six Eyes Part 2. So let's get started. At Tazuna's house. There it is, Tazuna said, pointing towards his house in the horizon. They walked to the front and entered the house. Tsunami, I'm home, Tazuna shouted. Father, you're back. You said it will only take you 3 days to get back. Are you alright? Are you hurt anywhere? Tazuna chuckles. I'm fine, Tsunami. It's thanks to these four. This is Fugaku, Sasuke, Naruto and Ino. They're ninjas who saved my life. Guys, this is my daughter, Tsunami, he said, introducing them. Thank you for protecting my father, she says, with a somewhat happy and sad look on her face, as Fugaku observes her. Right, Tsunami, we have guests, so let's make the fuel at home and let them settle in, Tazuna says. Oh, forgive me, everybody, this is our home. It's not the largest, but it's home, she says, smiling as she calls out for Inari. Inari, she calls out. Out of another room comes a little boy. This is my son, Inari. Inari, your grandfather is back. These ninjas have protected him on the way back. Come and say hi, she says to him, smiling. The boy looks at the group with a dark look on his face and just heads upstairs. Alright, let me show you where each of you will be sleeping, she says, as Naruto gets his own room while Fugaku and Tazuna bunk and Tsunami and Ino and Sasuke bunk in another room. A few hours later, Naruto can be seen lying against a tree. He had been out here since last night and he came here to train and ended up falling asleep. Flashback. Naruto was annoyed. His team kept bugging him since they got back about what those techniques were. Naruto kept quiet. Come on Naruto, we're your teammates. You can't hide something like that from us, Ino says as Naruto stayed quiet. She's right, Naruto. It's unfair that you know all our techniques, but you hide yours, Satsuki said, as Naruto's angrily sighed. Satsuki, Naruto says, in a quiet but loud tone, catching his sensei Fugaku's attention, who was ready to protect his daughter at all costs if something went wrong. The whole point of being a ninja is to hide your skills. I don't know what you and our generation have been taught, but clearly it's wrong. It's not my fault that you showed off your techniques to get popularity, letting everyone and their family knows what kind of attacks you have. So no, I won't be sharing my techniques and how I did them with anyone, Naruto says in a tone that meant it was final. Sensei, tell Naruto he has to tell us. It's not fair that he knows Menma-kun's techniques, but Menma-kun doesn't know his, Ino whined. Ino, enough, let it go. He isn't going to tell you anything. Fugaku says, despite attempting to talk down on Ino, he questions Naruto's ability and quickly realized that Naruto had no intention of revealing anything to his teammates or sensei. He glances at his daughter who's staring at Naruto. Team 12, for the next few days that followed, had particular meetings going about guarding Tazuna. They worked on rotational schedule. 2 of them were guarding for half of the day and then the other 2 guarded for the rest of the day. The days that went by were uneventful until one night. There's no point, you're all gonna die, a voice says, as there was a complete lack of silence as all heads turned to one person sitting on a table, and that was Inari. Team 12 had been briefed on Gato's oppression and how everybody who standing against him died, and that was Kaiser, one of the victims of Gato. He was considered a hero to the wave, but he tried to stand up to Gato, and as punishment, he was publicly tortured and executed. Gato had made an example of him, warning all that if they tried the same thing, this was the fate that awaited them. Fugaku displays no outward reaction. Satsuki stared at the boy. Ino's eyes darted around the room, seeing the mood turn tense. Tazuna and Tsunami became sad. Naruto raised his eyebrows before seemingly turning his attention back to his meal, speaking after swallowing a mouthful. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Say that again, Naruto says nonchalantly, not even looking at Inari, but rather focused on his food. I said, you're all gonna die, you idiot. It doesn't matter how hard you train, how much you fight. It's hopeless. You're no match for Gato and his men, Inari said, glaring at Naruto. And I suppose you are, Naruto asked, his tone laced with sarcasm. Well, why don't you tell me about that? Because from what I heard, nothing's been done for this land since Kaiser died, Naruto continues as Inari loses it. As if it isn't enough that these ninja fools show up here, and dare to think that they challenged Gato. One of them has the nerve to mention Kaiser. Don't you dare talk about Kaiser, the boy yells angry. Who do you think you are anyways? Kaiser was my hero, and he was ripped away from me. You have no idea what that's like, living in that ninja village of yours with all of that prosperous, happy life. You know nothing about suffering. Inari continues. As Naruto got angry, a dark look forms on his face. He places a chopstick down before standing up. He looks straight up at Inari, causing the boy to step forward as killing intent was unleashed. Don't you dare speak as if you know who I am and what I've gone through. I've had it worse than anybody else here. Look around you. You have a home, a mother, and a grandfather who cares about you. I had none of that growing up. The kids bullied me. So how about you quiet yourself down? Naruto says, yelling the last part, causing Inari to tear up. Not just out of fear, but out of the fact that he had seen himself almost die thousands of times thanks to Naruto. You should be glad that your father Kaiser isn't alive, because if he saw you now, he'll be disgusted with what you are, Naruto says, as Ino had enough. Naruto, enough! He's a kid. Hush yourself, Ino. I'm just talking the way you all talk to me, under Yayoi and your precious Menma's orders when I was a kid, Naruto said. You're so petty, that's why Menma's better. Ino was cut off as Naruto started to laugh, but not before sending killing intent making her fall off the chair. Better than me? Can he beat a Jonin? And a Chunin? As he is now, Naruto said condescendingly. No, actually, what were the results of the taijutsu match when I'm against him and Sasuke both together? Thanks to Mizuki-sensei, Ino, I forgot. Please jog my memory, Naruto said sarcastically. As Fugaku had enough, his team was falling apart. Enough, both of you, Fugaku yelled. Sorry, sensei, Ino said, sucking up to Fugaku. Whatever, I'm out. I'm not as hungry, Naruto says as Fugaku stomped angrily towards him. Apologize like Ino, Fugaku said. I'm not one of those pathetic leaf-raised shinobi. I won't apologize for being provoked by this bitch. So, I'm going to leave before I lose control and take that fangirl's head off, Naruto says, leaking so many killing intent that Tazuna, Tsunami, and even Inari were on the floor. Sasuke and Ino were breathing hard as Fugaku was barely able to stand. Fugaku was reminded of the Nine-Tails incident, the killing intent, the fear he felt when the Nine-Tails appeared and ravaged their village. After he said that, Naruto walked out. After a bit, Inari was seen standing there, clutching his heart, as he has felt the most scariest thing, even more scary than Gato to him. Flashback end. 6 days later, the week had passed uneventfully. Naruto had returned to Tazuna's home the next morning and apologized for his outburst. He could see Tazuna and his family were still kind of scared, but they accepted it. Fugaku had accepted Naruto's apology, even if it wasn't towards Ino and him, because he knew that was the most Naruto was going to give them, since Naruto's attitude aligned with, well, him only caring about what he thinks, in Fugaku's opinion. In the days that passed, Team 12 continued to guard Gato and nothing interesting had happened. They also started training, and what shocked Fugaku the most was Naruto had fully perfect chakra control, unlike Tsunade, who up until this point was deemed the person with the most perfect chakra control. Thanks to his mangaka, Fugaku could see whenever Naruto was doing anything chakra related, he only used the minimum required amount of chakra, and that was perfectly controlled. His students took 2 days to get chakra control down, not perfectly like Naruto, but to a level that Fugaku was happy with. After that, Ino had been pushing herself harder and harder. She was determined to close the gap between her and her teammates. She had been training in chakra control exercises, genjutsu, taijutsu, and even some ninjutsu. She possesses an affinity for water and earth nature chakra. Satsuki had been honing her fire style jutsu and chakra control, not being part of the battle against Zabuza last time, and well, seeing Naruto beat Zabuza had clearly bruised her ego, and she was determined to showcase her skills if there was a next time. Naruto had gone off God knows where. After showing he knew every jutsu Fugaku was going to teach him, Fugaku allowed the genin to get his own training in. With Satsuki sighed, as she's been waiting for Naruto to return home, but Naruto had left. Fugaku and Ino, her father and her best friend, had left with Tazuna for the bridge. The hours passed by and there was no sign of Naruto. She had decided to leave. She was already late enough and she was getting worried. Could something have happened to him? Satsuki said inwardly. Are you sure you can't wait any longer? I'm sure he's on his way, Tsunami said to Satsuki. The Uchiha female looked back at Tsunami as she stands in front of the door. I'm late as it is. Your father could die if I don't get there, so I'm gonna head to the bridge, she responds, as Tsunami nods understandingly, while Inari watches on, kind of scared of the ninjas. Well, I'm off, Satsuki says. Be careful, Tsunami says, as Satsuki smiles a bit before stepping out of the house and closing the door behind her. She looks around before jumping away. With Naruto is crouched down on a warehouse roof. Below him, the room was filled with many people, about 40 in total. 30 were men and 10 were teenage girls. 15 of the men were scattered around the room, while 14 had gathered around where the females were, leading them towards what looked like a middle-aged man with brown hair. How did Naruto end up here? He had been going around training. When he was about to head back to Tazuna's home, he detected a group of 24 chakra signatures. He heard a scream coming from where he was and decided to investigate. When he had found where the scream was, he found a group of 14 armed men leading 10 young girls through the forest. One of them had backhanded one of the girls out of anger, which did not surprise the white-haired kid. With the land of the waves being Gato's playing ground and the heart of a criminal empire, human trafficking became a normality in this nation. Naruto could have taken the thugs down, but he chose not to, opting to let them lead him to the base so he could rescue any other captives, which was why he was now in his current situation. The group of men and women are now standing in front of the middle-aged man. We got orders, boss. 10 picks of the litter, fresh ones, he says. The leader doesn't respond verbally. He just looks at the girls, taking the time to walk around, study each one of them, enjoying the girl's visible fear. He nods before taking out a key and tossing it into the man's hands. Alright, put them in with the others. You know Gato, he wants them as soon as possible, the man said. Alright, gather around, the leader says. You will be good and you won't be hurt. You be bad, well, I don't think you want to know what happens when you piss me off, the leader says. Boss, one of the men interjects. If I may have a proposition. What have I told you about opening your mouth while I'm talking? And what the hell are you on about? The leader asks. Sorry, but Gato gave us a task and we completed it. We will be getting paid, but why should we relax now? Well, why can't we go the extra mile, he says, with a sadistic smile. What do you mean, go the extra mile? I mean, we should make use of, the fresh merchandise, he says, as the boss starts to smirk. Go on, have your fun, he says. As before they could do anything, the window that Naruto was on from the ledge shattered as he jumps down. Who the hell is that? It's a kid, obviously. Yeah, but what's he doing here? Talk about bad timing. The leader looks around, seeing the room grow agitated. There was silence as the thugs waited for the boss to make the move. Hey kid, you seem lost. We were actually about to attend to some serious business, so why didn't you run out of here and find your way home? He says, as the man still had a lecherous smile from earlier. Naruto looks on at the group, his face blank. Every single one of you is gonna die today, he says plainly. There's silence as every of the thugs started laughing. You idiots, the leader shouted. He's a shinobi. Don't you see that thing on his forehead? Kill him now, the boss orders, as the thugs finally take notice of the headband wrapped around Naruto, identifying him. Shit, he's a leaf shinobi. That's one of the strongest villages, one of the great five. Quick, kill him. They'll charge at him, throwing the weapons or the fists, but all of the weapons and fists get stuck in front of Naruto. What's this? Our punches, our weapons won't connect. You fools. He's obviously got some sort of wind technique, the foolish leader said. Luckily for me, I'm an ex-Eva ninja, so I know some ninjutsu, and fire always burns wind, so fire style, fireball jutsu. I'm sorry kid, this is only business, the man says as a giant fireball went towards Naruto, who just stood there. You did it, boss. Yeah, I know. Now let's go and sample the merchandise, he says, walking towards a woman. You thought that would hurt me, Naruto says, walking out of the fire. As he took steps forward, the fire turned to steam. How? That was a wind barrier. You should have been fired, the man yelled, launching himself at Naruto, as he created multiple fireball jutsus at Naruto, trying to kill him. Oh, and who said that this was a wind manipulation technique? No, this isn't wind manipulation. It's spatial manipulation, Naruto says, not caring if he told them because he knew they would be dead, and dead men told no tales, as he teleported in front of every single one of them and killed them, ripping their hearts out with his kunai, in a way that would make his father jealous. If his father was known as the Yellow Flash, he was known as the White Flash. Oh, he would be. But he preferred having a name to do with his eye, the six-eyed shinobi or something like that. As Naruto looked at his handiwork, he couldn't help but comment, so weak, losing to a kid. As he walked up to the girls who were shivering at the display and what was going to happen to them before Naruto appeared. Don't worry, I'm here to help. I'm going to break these locks now, so don't worry. I'm not going to kill you, Naruto says softly, surprising himself and the girls as they surprisingly felt comforted and weren't scared anymore, as in the cages they nodded. Chakra technique, lapse blue, Naruto says as he ripped the gates off the cages, freeing the innocent girls. Thank you, they all said, crying, as Naruto made some clones and had the clones take the one back. Before they did that, they raided the bandits' cloaks and handed them over to the girls so the girls could have some clothes on while they left. And before you go, do you know where they were going to take you? Yeah, right over there, one of the girls says, pointing towards a giant castle-like place. I see, thank you. My clones will escort you to the village and then tell Tazuna that I brought you there, or ask for Tazuna. And tell the villagers that Gato will be dead by the end of the day, Naruto says, in a dark tone as he teleported to the location. Screams could be heard from the location as Naruto made his way through the base, cutting everybody's heads, not even letting a single weapon or fist connect to him, as he placed any person he killed's head in a scroll until he reached the main room, where he kicked it down. Who dares? Gato yells. I do, you ugly fat shorty, Naruto yells. Who are you? Gods, kill him, Gato yelled as Naruto chuckled. Your minions aren't coming, they're already dead, Naruto says as he points towards the room. And Gato looks behind Naruto to see dead bodies piled everywhere. And so are you, Naruto says. Wait, please stop. Don't kill me. I'll give you everything. Money, woman, status, country, Gato pleaded, even though Naruto was a freaking 12-year-old, so it was kind of sick. Woman, you don't have that anymore. I freed them all. Status, you already gave that to me for free. People will talk about the boy who killed Zabuza and his apprentice, and as well as you and your protectors. Naruto laughed. No, but I still have money. Please, I'll give it to you. Please let me go, Gato pleaded. Unlock this safe and tell me the code, Naruto demanded as Gato dashed towards the safe, where he kept all of his money, as he didn't trust, any of the official means of keeping the money. And he opened it, telling Naruto the code. There, I told you, and I showed you where it is. Now let me go, Gato yelled. I said, unlock the safe and tell me the code. I never agreed to let you go. After all, a sick, little, ugly man like you deserves death, Naruto says as he cuts off Gato's head cleanly before putting it in the scroll. Gato had several businesses put a bounty on his head that wanted a wave, so his head was worth a lot. Naruto then teleported to the town square, or the city square. People of the wave, you are now free. I've killed Gato and freed your wives, daughters and mothers, Naruto says, unsealing Gato's head, showing everybody he had killed Gato as they all started to cheer. Sasuke, Ino, Fugaku and Tazuna came to see the commotion, only to see Naruto flaunting Gato's head around as a prize and the people cheering. By the sages, he did it. What do you mean? Sasuke asked, as Fugaku, knowing that his daughter didn't know who Gato was, said, he killed Gato. Wait, what? You mean after all this training and Naruto took the victory? Naruto yelled. There isn't stealing victories in the shinobi world. This is a game. It's real life, Fugaku says, a bit irritated. His student took a private mission and took all the fun out of the C rank. Now they would just be doing D ranks, and Fugaku wouldn't have a chance to have some fun. Sasuke herself clenched her fist, her chance to show that she was just as good as Sasuke, and Itachi, and now even Naruto was gone. She calmed herself. There was always next time. A few hours later, Naruto walked into the house to see Inari, Tazuna and Tsunami thanking him for killing Gato. Naruto just smiled. For the first time, he gave a genuine hero smile because he felt like a hero. Tazuna, Inari, Tsunami, may I speak to my shinobi alone? Fugaku says. As Naruto saw the other 3 members of the team looking at him, Ino and Sasuke had kind of anger in their eyes. He could see Fugaku's emotion, which was a mix of anger and pride. The 3 civilians left the room as Fugaku walked up to him. Naruto, what was that? You took all the credit, Ino said, cutting off Fugaku. Took the credit? I can't complete the mission defeating Gato. I didn't take anybody's kill or anything like that. Please explain, Ino. How did I take credit? Naruto asked as Ino quieted down. Naruto, Ino wasn't speaking for us. I wanted you to answer me why you went without informing me on a self-sanctioned mission. We weren't planning on attacking Gato, just protecting Tazuna, Fugaku said. I wasn't planning on attacking him, but then I saw what Gato and his men did to those innocent women. I decided I need freedom, Naruto said. I see. Next time don't do that. Fugaku says, his anger fading, but his irritation was still there at not getting to be able to fight or see what Naruto was able to do. A few hours later, the time had come for Team 12 to leave, since without Gato the bridge could be built. Not even that, the bridge was, well, really actually finished. They were now standing on the bridge with Tazuna and his family, as well as the villagers. Are you sure you have to leave so soon? Tsunami pleads. I'm afraid so, Fugaku responds. Tazuna steps forward. Words can't express my gratitude, he says, falling to his knee, as Fugaku smiled awkwardly, not knowing how to respond to the display, and narrows his eyes when he realizes his 2 female students were laughing at him. While Naruto had a look of, well, he just had a look that was undescribable. He turns his head to see Inari trying to speak to his 3rd student, as Inari sniffles and wipes his tears. Thank you, Naruto. I'm so sorry about how I treated you that night, Inari says as he remembers how he berated Naruto for thinking he could beat Gato when Naruto beat Gato. Hey, Naruto says. Smile, you're free now, aren't you? Naruto says, smiling for real again, which shocked Fugaku because he's never smiled for real anytime Fugaku had seen him, or any time in the leafage if what Satsuki told him was true. As Inari nods, right, we are free, so thank you, Inari says. Well, we'll be leaving now, Fugaku says. Goodbye, all the villagers shouted, as one of the villagers said, Naruto-sama, make sure to come back when you're older. As Naruto waves at them. So, what should we name the bridge? Tazuna shouts as the team was making their way on the bridge back to the Fire Country. As there was excited chatter, many shouts and suggestions were heard. As Inari tugs on Tazuna's shirt, Tazuna bends down to his grandson. As Inari whispers in his ear, as Tazuna smiles and stands up. How about what my little grandson has suggested? The Great Naruto Bridge, Tazuna suggested as shouts of approval erupted, which were heard by, well, Naruto and the team as they walked back on the village, as the village was now named after the hero who had saved the land with waves, Naruto Uzumaki, the Great Naruto Bridge. A few days later, the sound of leaves rustling was heard, accompanied by footsteps on a dirt path, as large green gates were shown. These were the gates of Konoha Gakure no Sato, aka the Hidden Leaf Village, as Team 12 returned to the village and got closer. Fugaku watches taking his surrounding as his squad walks ahead of him towards the Leaf Village, with Naruto only by his side, not really caring. The scene brought back lots of memories. He resists the urge to sigh as he thinks about how he's going to explain the events that transpired concerning his team's mission, especially it becoming A rank, to everyone. He's not worried about Minato, he can handle the Hokage, but his wife, that was who he was concerned about. When she hears that he pursued the mission above a team's assignment grade and potentially put their daughter, his baby girl, in danger, well, there was nothing that's going to save him from the butt kicking he was going to get. With the wave deal done for, he was hoping that the real world has been opened to his team's eyes on what the realities of the shinobi world was. It has certainly opened his own up a bit to a reality of his own, as when Naruto explained what was happening, Fugaku could have blamed Naruto for going and slaughtering all of Gato's men and Gato himself, because if he had seen the same thing, he would have just thought, what if those people were doing that to Satsuki or Mikoto? And if that had happened, well, there would be no force on earth that would save him or save anyone else that was hurting his family. But one thing Fugaku couldn't help but think about was how one of his genin took down Zabuza while Fugaku was left to being a bystander. Minato was right, I'm rusty, that's unacceptable, he says, shaking his head. Ino, in contrast, was happy to be home. She was sweaty and wanted to see her Menma-kun and tell him how she and her team beat a A-rank missing ninja and saved a country, becoming heroes. It was Naruto, but she was still part of the team, so she's a hero as well. Sasuke doesn't spare the village glance, her eyes staying on Naruto. Two enemy ninjas, Zabuza, an A-rank jonin, and Haku, a B-rank chunin, was defeated by him so easily that it pissed her off. How was she meant to catch up to him? What level was he? Was he even using his true power? She's never seen any of techniques like that from him before, and she hasn't even heard about it ever being used, not even by the great Madara Uchiha of her clan, which she had access to, so she liked to read up on her clan's history, especially Madara Uchiha. And not even that, nobody had this level of power as a genin, especially on the first mission. Not even Madara, the first, the second, third, or even the fourth, and his wife had this kind of power. No one in her age was ever capable of the things that Naruto did, and that space-time technique. She knows from her mother that creating a space-time technique was impossible, and those who did it were revered as legends like Tobirama, and Naruto had that. At this age, he was able to create some sort of barrier that wouldn't let anybody get around him. She knew space-time because, well, her Sharingan was more advanced and she could see space being expanded out infinitely, like there was no end in front of Naruto. He always had it on. What was that technique he was using? That technique was so OP. And how was he this strong? She knew from Menma, and Mito that his parents never trained him, and even if it was a lie, which she knew it wasn't, because one thing she could confirm was that after fighting both Mito and Menma and that those three fought so much more different compared to how Naruto did. Naruto, he wasn't a brawler, he was more of a think out your enemies every single move and make the most perfect move. And that space-time ninjutsu that Naruto had, Menma and Mito never had it, and they don't even know what it is. And he doesn't even use the same taijutsu style as them. He uses some sort of jujitsu type of style, not the Uzumaki brawler style, or what Menma used, the Namikaze peacock style. And he doesn't have the same jutsus in the arsenal. While Menma had some sort of wind style, Mito had some sort of water style, and Yai had some sort of water and wind style jutsus. Naruto had those blue and red techniques, whatever they were. Just where is he getting all this strength from? And why do you seem so desperate to keep it hidden? Satsuki asks, watching as a teammate walks. He's only ever shown small glances of his strength, and even the small glances are enough to keep him ahead of all of us. I will find out who you are, Naruto Uzumaki, and all your techniques, because you have intrigued me, Satsuki said to herself. Naruto takes a sip from his water bottle as he walks. He saw two pair of eyes trained on him. One was from his sensei, and the other was Satsuki. He can't be sure why Satsuki was staring at him, but he could only guess that she has seen him unleash his power somehow, well, against Zabuza, and how he killed Zabuza and Haku, and, well, she's reacted to it now. Is she scared of me now? He asked. He hopes not. It will be a pain to have to deal with a scared teammate. He'll have to try and read her language later on. Eventually, they made it to the Minato's office, as Minato sat back in his chair as Team 12 was before him. The 4-man squad had been assigned a C rank and was scheduled to be back a while ago to escort the bridge builder Tazuna back to his land, but they had just returned now. So what had happened? Minato knew that Fugaku wouldn't betray the village, neither would Satsuki or Ino especially because she was in love with his son. But Naruto, he doesn't know anything about his wayward son, and he doesn't think Naruto would betray him, or at least he would like not to think that, because that was his son, but he didn't know him. As he waited for Fugaku to start speaking. Team 12, reporting back from the land of Wave, Fugaku says, Welcome back, Team 12, Minato says. You were scheduled to be back some time ago. I imagine some complications arised. Minato says, hoping it was some complications and it wasn't Naruto turning against them. Yes, due to unforeseen circumstances, including the involvement of a Chunin and Jonin level ninja, as well as assassinating the entire network of bandits and taking down the whole criminal empire, this C rank mission escalated not just to an A rank but also an S rank, as we had successfully taken down the criminal empire in the Land of Waves, Fugaku says, causing Minato's eyes to widen. I see. Why were you unable to return sooner and blacklist the mission requester? Because I took the decision to continue with the mission and complete it, Fugaku says calmly as Minato's eyes pursued. Fugaku had taken his baby boy out on a dangerous S rank mission. You chose to pursue an A rank level mission with a team of newly graduated genin, and might I add clan heirs. Well, not Satsuki, but she is an important member of a very prestigious clan, and you just took them out like that on a S rank mission. How could you be so irresponsible, Fugaku? Minato asked, as Fugaku doesn't flinch or show any emotion. Lord Hokage, it wasn't Fugaku sensei's decision alone to continue with the mission. I was... Silence, Naruto, Fugaku says, interrupting the white-haired person, the white-haired child. The two of you as well, he says, glancing at his daughter Ino, who also looked ready to spring to his defense. I'm the Jonin commander of this mission, and I will take full responsibility. It was my decision to continue the mission, mine and mine alone, Fugaku says calmly, as he locked eyes with Minato. The two stare at each other for what seems like ages to the other three in the room. Minato sighs, finally breaking eye contact with Team 12's leader. The three of you are dismissed. Please excuse us, Minato says, as the three don't move, waiting their instructions, making Minato's eyes widen. Leave, Fugaku says. Go home and rest. The three reluctantly leave the room. The only sound in the office after that was feet and footsteps. Explain, Minato says, after they left. With Naruto, Ino and Satsuki. Do you guys think Sensei's in trouble? Ino asked. I don't know, Naruto says calmly. There's nothing we could do about it either way. Elsewhere in the village, a man looks about himself as he had just broken into a house. He had a mask, white hair, and the mask covered one of his eyes. This was Kakashi Hatake. He should be with his team right now, but he wasn't. Instead, his shadow clone was, one that no doubt took time getting used to his students. Right now, he was on an important mission. He was inside of a house that didn't belong to him. He was examining the kitchen cabinets of the individual who lived here, and he clearly had a fetish for ramen. He closed the fridge and walked back into the living room and started reading a orange book which had, well, a name on it that people would not want repeated, especially they wouldn't want to repeat it near Kurenai, as he quietly started giggling to himself, having enough. Back in the Hokage's office, Minato sits back on his chair sighing as Fugaku gave a full report on what happened. Naruto really did that. He says, on one hand, he wanted to be proud. His son had single-handedly saved a nation and took down an entire criminal empire, which would take several Jonins to do. Well, it wouldn't really take Jonins, because if what Fugaku explained, there were mostly bandits, but the mission requirement for it to be approved by the council would have been about at least 20 Jonins, because it was a criminal empire. Who knows what they had? And Naruto took it down by himself, not even with the team, not even with the Jonin sensei. On the other hand, he didn't like this because Naruto's clearly been keeping secrets from his family. Yes, he did do all of that, Fugaku said. Minato, I think you owe me explanation, Fugaku says, making Minato look at him. When you first told me to watch Naruto and closely report back to you about his progress, I thought it was because you and Kushina were having me watch over your other kid, since you're having Kushina watch over your 3 other kids. But from what I've seen, and the way you've been reacting to me telling you this, you don't know anything about his strength or what your son truly is capable. And might I add, he is capable of a lot. If I had to rank him, he would probably be low Jonin level from what I've seen. Actually, forget that. He would probably be mid Jonin level. He'll be Zabuza's level, Fugaku says as Minato frowns and looks down again in response. That boy, I thought at first his immense ability was because of you and Kushina training him, but after seeing more of him, I know that isn't the case. He doesn't fight like either of you. He moves and strikes differently. Even his ninjutsu aren't the same as you. Tell me, Minato, why is Naruto not trained by you and Kushina? How is it that despite this, he is the best genin? I can confirm that with my heart in the village, even surpassing the likes of you and my son Itachi Uchiha. Fugaku asks. Minato stands up, not wanting to answer. Thank you, Fugaku. You may leave now. As Minato says this, the Uchiha patriarch frowns at the response, not wanting that response. Outside Naruto's apartment, Naruto walks towards the entrance of his apartment. As he's about to open the door, he sees dirt fresh on his mat. Suddenly, his 6 eyes get to action as he sees chakra and his eyes narrow. Kakashi Hatake. What are you doing over here? Naruto thought to himself. The Uzumaki clan compound. The members of the Uzumaki Namikaze family sat in silence and shock as Minato had revealed what he had been informed about Naruto by Fugaku after Team 12 arrived back in the village to them. The events that had transpired in the land of Wave, Naruto killing an A rank missing ninja and a B rank fake Anbu, as well as taking down Gato and his entire criminal empire all by himself, which had minimum of C rank bandits. Fugaku had also told them about Naruto having the bridge named after him. No way, big brother actually did this? Yayoi said in disbelief. She knew Naruto was the strongest of the entire graduating class, but this was unbelievable. Her father was telling her something like one of the stories she read, those anime or manga she read, where the main character is weak, but he managed to defeat the big bad villain, saving an entire nation. The only thing he was lacking now was a princess, which, if the world continued to follow the plot of anime and manga, Naruto would end up saving. But as she thinks about this, she starts to feel regret as she remembers how she teased him that their parents never loved him with Menma and made sure everybody in the class hated him. Menma, Mito shakes her head in disbelief. Why is it always him? He always beats us, and now he beats an A-rank ninja with no training for mother and father, who considered him unworthy of being trained. I need to get stronger. I need to prove mom and dad right, Mito says to herself. Menma scoffs to himself inwardly. No, that disgrace did that. It's probably using its demonic power. Minato thought jealous, but it doesn't matter to him. He doesn't compare to someone like Menma, who was the best damn genin in the village. The villagers will say it. Mizuki sensei said it. I don't care what he did. He doesn't hold a candle to me, Menma says to himself. Kushina's hair begins to move, forming 9 tails. What? What do you mean that bastard Fugaku put my baby boy in danger? Kushina explains. She makes a beeline for the door, intending to make her way to the Uchiha compound and to beat Mikoto's husband, Black and Blue, before she was stopped. Kushina, calm down, Minato says, standing in the way. Get out of my way, Minato. I'm gonna give that smug asshole what he deserves. He took Naruto on a S-rank mission and almost, the guy, he could have been killed. Minato, you need to do something. We need to do something, Kushina yells. Calm down, I've already spoken to Fugaku. Naruto's perfectly fine and safe. Nothing like this will ever happen again, Minato says as Kushina sighs deeply. Fine, she says, as everybody releases a collective sigh of relief. Inside of Naruto's apartment, Kakashi feels a knife pressed against his neck. It's about time, Kakashi says calmly, his eyes still glued to a book, which Naruto felt disrespected by, but he knew how Kakashi was, so he knew this was the best he was going to get. What do you want from me? Hatake, Naruto says. Hey Naruto, it's been a while. I never got to congratulate you for becoming a ninja. Naruto heard Kakashi say, you never were going to congratulate me because you and your sensei and his wife only ever cared for Menma and Mito and Yae. Don't act like you care about me now. So hurry up and tell me why you're here, and don't say you'll catch up with your godbrother, because I'm not your godbrother. Menma is Naruto says. You know that's not true. Your brother and sister needed help controlling the power, and they needed emotionals. Kakashi was cut off. Just get to the point, Hatake. I don't have time to argue with you about this. Naruto says, his eyes shining with anger. When Kakashi looked at his eyes, he couldn't help but notice how beautiful they were, but he quickly snapped out of it. Fine, since when have you been staying here alone instead of with your family? You know you hurt them. Kakashi says, you can't hurt heartless monsters, Hatake, Naruto replied. Naruto, you're being so selfish. They're trying to protect this village. Kakashi was cut off. This village is anything but my home. It's a prison. Now, I think you should leave. You've overstayed your welcome, Naruto says menacingly as his blue six eyes got a shade of red as red chakra started to form from him. The Kyuubi's chakra, Kakashi thought. Realizing the situation that he had pushed Naruto so far, he quickly tried to defuse it. Okay, I'm leaving. We don't need a public incident, Naruto, Kakashi says with his hands up. How does he have the Kyuubi's chakra? Only Menma, Mito and Yayoi should have it. Could the soul have regenerated chakra? Kakashi thought as he made his way to inform Minato. Unknown to Kakashi, he was partially right. Another reason Naruto had Kyuubi's chakra other than it regenerating was because when Naruto was born, in order to balance the world, since a Six Eyes and Limitless user had been born, the world had powered everyone else up, including the Bijus, especially the Kyuubi, making it from a 9-tailed fox into a 10-tailed fox instead. This happened to all other Bijus who suddenly gained one extra tail. Back at the Uchiha clan compound, Sasuke lays in his bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind wandering to what he had heard after his father and sister had returned, and how Naruto had taken down a S-rank criminal empire, as well as A-rank Jonin and B-rank Chunin, and several C-rank bandits, with Menma and Kiba. That really happened? No way, Kiba says. That's what Dad said, Menma responds. It must be some sort of mistake. Nearly none of it sounds right. Ino's never been serious about ninja, just about decent. Naruto may be rookie, but even the fourth wasn't that strong. He got lucky, he was a prodigy and was at the top of the class. Even then, he wouldn't stand against you when you use the Nine-Tails power and masters it, Kiba says. No idea, maybe Sasuke's father. Menma looks down while walking, unable to find the words he thought he had. Nonsense, all of it, I'm telling you. If Naruto is strong enough to fight a Jonin, then I'm strong enough to be Hokage, Kiba laughs. Menma looks up at his friend as they both chuckle. I don't believe it. Even if it's true, I still wouldn't care. I'm still stronger than him, he scoffs. As he scoffs that, Menma looks at the villagers who are waving at him, and he smiles, waving back at them as he passes away. Is that the Hokage's heir, the fourth son? They said. Say, is that? Kiba says, pointing ahead towards a goal that Menma liked. Menma looks where his fingers pointing. As he looks and realizes who it was, his heart starts to beat faster. He looks at Kiba and they smirk each other. See you later, bro, Menma yells as he runs ahead. Scene change. Village center. Sasuke walks down the fairly crowded streets, a plastic bag in her hands. She considers taking rooftops to get there quicker, but opts not to. Well, if it isn't the most stunning girl on the planet, a all too familiar annoying voice cuts her out of her thoughts. Sasuke turns to see Menma standing alongside her, his smiling face turned red. Hi, Sasuke, Menma says, hands behind his back so he doesn't fiddle his hands awkwardly as Sasuke slide him again, she thought. Before turning to him, Menma, she greets coldly. Now, Satsuki, you should greet me better, Menma says, as Satsuki ignores him. Compared to Naruto, he was average or below average. He was barely fit while Naruto was ripped. He was short while Naruto was tall. He had red hair while Naruto had stunning white hair. His eyes were dull while Naruto had beautiful eyes. They were the most beautiful things in the... Wait a minute. She was going to stop now. She didn't want to be like Sakura Ino, a fangirl. Where you off to? He asks, cutting her off her thoughts. Home, she responds coldly. Well, then let me walk you home, he responds, with a smile still on his face and an annoying grin. You should be with your team, she says. Nah, don't worry about it. I'm right where I need to be, with the most beautiful girl in the planet protecting her, he says, trying to make some weird kind of flirt. Do whatever you want, Satsuki said, annoyed. She wishes it was Naruto asking her. Wait, no, she didn't. She's not Sakura Ino. She didn't need any men, only her own power. The pair was now seen standing in front of the Uchiha compound. Well, here we are, Menma says awkwardly. It was great seeing you again, he says. Maybe we could get together soon, he adds on. Rather not, Sasuke thought. But maybe with Naruto I wouldn't mind. No, she says. Her mind keeps on betraying her. Don't push it, Sasuke decides on the answer and says it as she walks into her home. Didn't say no, Menma says inwardly, pumping his fists. As he says this, the crowd around Menma starts to murmur. The Uchiha heiress and Lord Fourth's heir, that'll be the best, they all said, and started discussing that. Meanwhile, back in Naruto's training ground, Sasuke jumps down into the clearing. He looks to see the training ground everybody in the village avoids and see him, the white-haired boy, clad in purple clothes. Think of Gojo. He walks forward until he was sure he was within earshot, as the two stand across from each other, silent. Sasuke glances at the field to see it broken. What kind of jutsu could have done that, he asks himself. Naruto Uzumaki, I've heard that you're strong, really strong. You beat a Jonin. I've come to see your true power. Fight me, he yells, launching a Chidori at Naruto, not waiting for him. But it never connected. Pathetic. The fact you came at me with that level of power is an insult. Get stronger before you even face me, Naruto says to Sasuke as he is suddenly behind Sasuke and neck chops him. Great, now I can't train because I have to take this annoyance to his house. I don't want to be blamed for the reason the Uchiha escaped or got kidnapped, Naruto says, thinking of how Sasuke and Fugaku will probably hate him if that happened. A small smile then appeared on Naruto's face as he disappears. Naruto arrives at the Uchiha compound. He knocks on the door only to see Sasuke there. Naruto, she says, her face turning red as she notices Naruto and compares him to Menma, and, well, she felt herself getting wet in some areas. I'm here with Sasuke. He wanted to fight me, but, well, I beat him, so yeah, I'm here to, just return him home, Naruto says, as Sasuke nods. Well, come on in then, she says as she opened the door and let Naruto in. As Naruto walked in and removed his shoes, he walks into the household. Looking around, he saw the grand and regal interior design. Satsuki, who's at the door? The blonde hairs, a feminine voice call out, accompanied by the sound of footsteps. Naruto, Mikoto says happily, seeing the child of one of her best friends. Evening, Lady Mikoto, Naruto responds formally with a bow. Mikoto looked on, taken back at this. She hadn't seen Kushina's eldest in some years, which was now only occurring to her, and the way Naruto addressed her was weird. The other three of Kushina's brats addressed her as Auntie Mikoto, considering her family because of their close bond that their mother had as a sister of her. But Naruto didn't. They all would visit and slept over at the compound many times, but Naruto was never there. Now that she thinks about it, this is the first time he's ever been here since he was around 5 years old. She heard rumors that the boy had packed his belongings and left his family home. Fugaku had confirmed it to her. Not wanting to divulge much else into her, she ignored it. Kushina always seemed to be nowhere to find these days. What had happened? Did Kushina hurt Naruto, or did Naruto hurt Kushina to the point where they weren't on speaking terms? I see you with Sasuke, she says, looking at her son, as the white-haired boy nodded. Is everything okay? What happened? The smile on her face turned to a look of concern as she saw her son being carried on the white-haired boy's back. We were training. Naruto responds, nothing too serious. I just neck chopped him. Nothing severe, I assure you, Naruto responds plainly. Really? Mikoto says, raising her eyebrows. There wasn't even a single scratch on Naruto. It seems that Fugaku wasn't exaggerating the ability of his male student. Satsuki looked at her teammate. Her teammate had beaten her brother, and if with what Naruto was saying, a single chop, she was flabbergasted. She knew he was strong, but her brother was stronger than her. That meant that she would have to train even more, her fist tightening, if she wanted to catch up and stand beside Naruto. Wait, what? No, she needs to get these thoughts out of her mind, not stand beside Naruto like something Sakura and Ino would want to do. No, she needs to get stronger than Naruto. Yeah, that's what she thought. Well, alright then, Mikoto says, concern still on her face. I'll check on Sasuke in a few moments, but I need to check on the food. Sasuke, show Naruto to Sasuke's room. The Uchiha woman says, you'll be joining us for dinner, right? Mikoto asks. No need to trouble yourself, Miss Uchiha. But the white-haired boy was interrupted by the sound of the door opening behind him. He will be joining us, I insist, Fugaku says. Naruto's mouth opens, but he closes it. If it's Fugaku, there was no point in arguing. With Naruto and Fugaku. Naruto and Fugaku walked side by side. Naruto had his hand in his pocket. You remind me of my son, Fugaku says, breaking the silence between the two as they made their way. Well, technically, he was my nephew, but he and his older brother became mine as his father, who was my older brother, passed away. His name was Shisui the Teleporter, one of the most formidable shinobi in the Leaf Village. He is said to be the second strongest of the Uchiha clan, second only to the man who walks right beside you now, Naruto, Fugaku says. I suppose he was a bit more of a joker than you at times, but besides that, you two are pretty much alike, Fugaku says, as Naruto looks at his sensei silently. Why don't you trust your father? Fugaku says, getting to the point, as the blonde responds. At the Uzumaki Namikaze house. Minato, what's this I've been hearing about you neglecting your son? Fugaku says, walking in angrily. As Menma got mad, who was this man to think he is, saying that his father neglected them? The only person he neglected was that outsider, that demon, Naruto. So you found out, he finally opened up to you, Minato says with regret. Yeah, I can't believe you would do that. You were the one who preached all about never abandoning your comrades, and you abandoned your family, Fugaku says. I made a mistake. I'm trying to fix it, but forget me, Minato. I'm going back to the compound. I can't believe it. I need to calm down before I get myself exiled from the village, Fugaku says, walking out. A few days later, Team 12 training ground. The training exam? Ino repeats her sensei's words. That's right. These exams allow for all the genin who participate to have the opportunity to show their skills, and they will be assessed and evaluated by examiners who, if the examinees are deemed worthy, will be promoted to the rank of tunin. Fugaku says, explain briefly, knowing he couldn't give too much information about the tuning exams out to his team. Now, under normal circumstances, rookie genin teams don't compete, not because of any existing regulation, but because they're commonly seen as not ready. But after the wave, I've seen that you are capable. A lot of you capable, and Naruto will be able to get you through anyways, Fugaku says. As Sasuke and Ino got a bit angry at this, they knew Naruto was powerful, but making their team's victory on Naruto left a sour taste in their mouth. However, Sasuke and Ino couldn't contain their excitement. They finally had opportunities to test themselves against stronger ninja, and well, to prove that they wasn't just Naruto's sidekicks, but they were their own people. Naruto visibly tried to relax, but he was excited too. The chance to battle against shinobi from different villages, to show that he wasn't just the most powerful in this village, but the most powerful in every single village. Well, that had his heart jumping with excitement. Participation isn't required. If any of you two feel that you're not ready, you could refuse entry, he says, lying through his teeth. All three of them needed to compete, as otherwise they don't qualify. Not unless, well, he made a special exception, but he wasn't going to do that because he didn't want to break up his team. The exams will commence in 7 days. My responsibility is to notify the Hokage today whether I granted you permission. So please decide if you're going to compete, yes or no. As all three of the genin agreed, Fugaku nods smiling. I will inform Minato, well, your Hokage then, he says, teleporting away. Time skip. 7 days later, Hidden Leaf Ninja Academy, tuning exams area. So you two are here too, a voice utters behind Menma. The boy turns away from his sisters to see his best friend and partner atop his head, coming towards him. Bro! Hey Akumaru, Menma says, as the two agree at each other. Yo Menma, Kiba says. Hi Menma, Mito, yeah. Hinata greets shyly, blushing looking down, not wanting to get contact with her crush Menma and his sisters. Good to see you guys are here, Yayoi says as she greets them. Mito smiles, nodding as well. It's no surprise to see you three here, Shino says. After all, you are one of the strongest rookies teams in the village, he says. Geez, Shino, way to kiss the opposition's ass, Keeper scoffs, shaking his head as Shino's only visible response was a twitch. No doubt it. We're here to win and also show a certain somebody that we are the strongest. Well, I am, Menma says. I think you mean me, Menma, Yayoi means. You both of you are joking. Obviously, he means me, Mito says. Shino meanwhile looks back of his head to see one of his insects fly, as then all of his insects started to show anxiety, as there was only one chakra that made his insects react in fear like this. He's here, Aburume says, as a high-pitched scream filled the room, as a blur of purple color figure speeds towards Menma, enveloping him. Menma, I missed you so much, Ino says, happily clinging to him. Hey, Ino, Menma responds casually, as he tries to look around, knowing that if Ino was here, she was here. As he sees her, he couldn't help but notice how stunning she was. The most beautiful person in the world, Satsuki Uchiha. But his smile and hopeful face turned to one of her frown as he saw who was standing next to her, Naruto. And when she never came towards them but opted to stay near her teammate, that demon, Menma got mad. Why is she standing with him? I am the strongest, I'm the good looking one, Menma said, jealous of Naruto. With Naruto and Satsuki, Naruto's eyes scanned the room to see many other genin present. He saw the rest of the rookies were also present, as Naruto scoffed. These jokers, in the exam, they will die, Naruto thought to himself, as he saw them all gather up in a group, like it was some sort of class reunion. Pathetic, Naruto says. Is there something wrong? Satsuki says. No, nothing, he responds. Sasuke! Back with the rookie group, Sasuke heard as Sakura hugged him. You made it too, Menma says to his rival. Yeah, of course he did. He's the strongest in the village, Menma Baka, Sakura says. Sasuke's not the strongest, Bilbad bro, Ino retorted. Oh, here we go again, Shikamaru says. Yeah, he is, Ino pig, Sakura shouted angrily. No, he isn't, Ino denied. We get it. Menma and Sasuke are the strongest. Can you two just pipe it down? Kiba interjected. Menma's not the strongest either, Ino says, shocking everybody. As Ino said that Menma isn't the strongest. What? Kiba uttered, completely confused. Then who is? Yai questioned, wanting to know who she was talking about. If anybody in our graduating class is the strongest genin in the village, it's not. Hey, you shouldn't be attracting so much attention, you know. A voice cuts off Ino. As they all turned to see a newcomer with a leaf headband. He had white hair. This was Kabuto. What's it got to do with you? Ino asked, at the stranger huffing. Sorry, I meant no offense. I'm just looking out for fellow leaf ninja. You're the rookies, right? Fresh out the academy. Take a look. You've attracted a lot of attention to yourselves, he says as the genin look around to see many shinobi looking at them, glaring or staring down at them. Seeing this, Hinata, Chaoji, Sakura and Ino got nervous. Bunch of posing cowards, Menma muttered, turning back to the group, but not before letting out a bit of his killing intent, making some of them turn back. Only a tiny bit. Gosh, Menma, you're so cool, Ino fangirled, making Shikamaru's eyes twitch. Thank God she's not on my team. I don't know how Naruto and Satsuki deals with them, or her. Shikamaru says. That's your big solution, making things worse, Shikamaru said. Shikamaru, don't worry, Menma says. If they do try something, I'll murder them all. After all, we all know who has the Nine Tails power, Menma says. With Gaara, Temari and Kankuro. Temari simply scoffed at the display, especially at the loud-mouthed brat eager to get himself killed. There's a lot of loudmouth and smart asses in this village, Kankuro said. At this point, I'm itching to shut one of them up, he says, as Gaara and Temari just looked unimpressed, as Gaara showed no interest, opting to look at a white-haired boy instead. With Naruto and Sasuke, it's honestly strange sometimes to remember that you and Menma are actually related, Sasuke said as he witnessed the boy's outburst. Naruto stayed silent, choosing not to respond to her words. He didn't consider any of them his family. He didn't know why, but he never even considered himself an Uzumaki that much. He thought he was more of a different clan, an ancient clan. The two of them stood in silence after after Sasuke had spoke. Naruto closed his eyes for a second before opening it and fusing his chakra while Sasuke watched in confusion. His eyelids, and he focused on a chakra signature similar to Menma and Mito's. He was two beings in one, kind of like him and a Jinchuriki, and he looked at a red-haired boy. That guy, something about him seems like trouble, a different kind of trouble, Sasuke said as she looked at who Naruto was looking at. Naruto broke eye contact with the sand Ganyan. Sasuke, if you ever come to face with that Sand Shinobi, don't fight him, Naruto says firmly, as the Uchiha girl frowned slightly, a bit of red on her cheeks. Naruto's being protective of me, she says. Wait, no, I'm not like Ino and Sakura. I don't need a man to protect me, she says. I can take care of myself, Naruto, Sasuke says in a quick tone as Naruto was confused. I never questioned that, but his eyes saw chakra being manipulated and sent towards the Genin. Ino was there, his teammate. He couldn't have Ino be injured because that would put the chances of winning at a risk. Not that much of a risk because Naruto knew he could take everybody here, seeing the chakra reserves, and well, he could saw all of the affinities and they did not stand a chance against him from what he could see with his eyes. But still, he would rather not be taken out of the exam because Ino died or something like that. Meanwhile, with the Leaf rookies, whoa, that guy has been on a B rank mission as a Genin and never been injured, Shikamaru explained as Sasuke had just asked about Gaara of the Sand. Ino looked in shock. No way, this guy's that strong. There's only one person who's never been injured and he's been on an A rank mission, well, S rank mission, and that's Naruto. I have to tell Naruto that there's someone like him, and Satsuki too, she thought. Is there anybody else you'd like to know about? I can provide you with intel on shinobi from pretty much village. Apart from the hidden sound, they're a small village, relatively unknown. Naruto, Uzumaki, Namikaze, both Sasuke and Menma said, earning surprised look from the beginning. Right, Kabuto says, shuffling his card once again, looking for Naruto. When he found out, 3 shinobi sprang into action. Before Ino could react, Naruto appeared in front of her as a sound wave just was seen stopped right in front of Naruto before it turned to nothing, unable to enter the infinite space Naruto created. However, a bit of the sound wave, since Naruto was standing in front of only Ino, had managed to go past the infinity, not where Naruto was, but where infinity barrier wasn't, and it hit Kabuto. That's, Sasuke and Menma said. Speed, it's amazing, Mito, Kiba and Yayoi explained. The masked shinobi didn't get much time to examine his handiwork, as a fist to the face sent the masked sound shinobi flying into the wall with a thud. But before anything else could happen, giant smoke was seen as the proctor of the next exam, Ibiki, came out. Right, listen here, you baby-faced degenerates, Ibiki says. I'm Ibiki Morino, the proctor for the first round of the tuning exams. Any unsanctioned combat will result in immediate disqualification for those who partaking from now on. This includes the teammate as well. So, this is my first and last warning to you, he says sternly. Apologies, sir, Mito says, apologizing on behalf of the Leaf group, bowing her head. Bro, did you see how fast that white-haired guy moved? Keep an eye on him, Neji said to his teammates. As Naruto turned to Ino. Are you alright? He asked, as the blonde girl smiled and nodded. Thank you, she said. Yori looked on with a look of awe, sadness and jealousy etched on her face as she saw her brother extend his hand to help his teammate, a gesture of kindness she had never seen her big brother perform before. He was only worried about protecting himself before. Big brother, was only worried about protecting Ino. He didn't even look at us. What if we were injured? She inwardly thought. As Menma looked in silence, no way. That speed. How did he do that? It was instant, like Dad's Hiroshin, the red-haired boy said in disbelief as he watched Ino off his hand. Naruto protecting someone? But Naruto didn't care about anybody. He never had. Just what's going on? He's a demon, Menma thought. Naruto turned and began walking back to Sasuke, walking past the group as if they were mere peasants. If you come face to face with that redhead boy over there, yeah, the sand Genin, make sure you don't fight him, Naruto says, as the Yamanaka girl frowned. I'm not weak, Naruto, I could take care of myself, she says, as with Gaara and Temari and Kankuro. No way, I didn't even see that person move, he was so fast. Temari also had the expression of disbelief in her face. Gaara looked at Naruto, breathing heavily as a small smile graced his lips. In the Chunin exam room. The first round of these exams will be a written exam consisting of 10 questions. These are the rules of the exams. Rule 1. There are 10 questions, each worth a point. Every question answered incorrectly results in a point being lost. Every cheating offense will result in 2 point deductions. Once the minimum of 10 points have been expended, disqualification will result. Any participant found to have scored a 0 by any way will be disqualified, along with their teammates. This resulted in an uproar from teammates of stupid members. Silence. You will have 1 hour to complete the exam. Your time starts now. Naruto had used his 6th eyes to see a Chunin, which he could determine based on the chakra, how much skill they had and how much chakra control they had, that was hidden as a genin participating in this exam. He saw that Ibiki was purposefully, eliminating the Chunins, knowing that they were meant to be the person that we were meant to cheat from. Naruto copied down all their answers and stopped. After that, Naruto waited. As some time passed, Ibiki finally started speaking. Alright then, the time has come for the 10th question. But first, each one of you will be given the opportunity to decide whether you wish to answer or not. Please note there are 2 rules in this test. First, participants who choose not to attempt the 10th question will automatically forfeit and be disqualified along with their teammates and all the points they earned. Secondly, those who answer the 10th question incorrectly will automatically forfeit all points. In addition to fail the exam, will be barred from ever competing in the training exams again, Ibiki announces, as confusion moves with disbelief, shock and outrage. Silence. If I fail, anyone who refuses to cooperate immediately will be kicked out immediately by my jonin over here, Ibiki says. Now those who do not wish to take the test, the 10th question, raise your hands. Silence fills the air as Naruto sees many people leave. Very well then, all of you pass, Naruto says. We pass? But we haven't even done the test of the 10th question and we haven't been marked, Yaya asks. The 10th question was a decoy. The first round of exams was presented as a written exam. Rather than testing knowledge, this was to see 2 skills that you require as a Chunin. The first was the intelligence gathering skills, which will be passed on to your evaluators in the final exam, and the second was your ability to persevere through the mission no matter what. In this case, persevere through the test even after being threatened that you won't be able to be promoted ever again. And you all pass, Ibiki explains. That's it then. You all are to wait here until the second exam proctor arrived. Ibiki wasn't allowed to finish that sentence as the room erupted in celebrations, many getting joyfully cheering. The first exam wasn't half bad, the white-haired boy mused to himself. He was hoping for a bit more combat in the next one. When suddenly a voice was heard. Now is not the time to celebrate, brats, as from behind a curtain of smoke appeared, revealing a young woman. This was who Naruto recognized as Anku Mitarashi, as a banner tied saying two kunais appeared that said the beautiful and single Anku Mitarashi. You still got me to worry about. The great Uncle Mitarashi popped off the second tuning exams round. She introduced. Naruto watches as the only thing he could get from this was that she was a clown. Why are there so many? How did you pass this many bats? She asked Ibuki. From what I'm counting, 84. Oh my god, do you need help? Old timer? Need a seat? Some water? You let 84 pass? Were you losing your old touch? She teases. Don't worry, I'll remind you how it's done. At best, there will only be 20 of these bats left when I'm through with them. Uncle smiles deviously as some of the weak-willed genin stiffen at this. Right, the venue for your next exams is training ground 44. If you want to quit, quit now. As they got up, Naruto met with Sasuke and Ino. So how'd you do it? Sasuke asks. Do what? He responds. Cheat, she said. I did it, Naruto says, not wanting to reveal how he got it. As Sasuke's eyes narrowed. I see. With Uncle. Right, all of you. We are at the venue of the next round of the training exams. Training ground 44, also known as Forest of Death. This venue is where you'll be taking your test. And it also will be where most of you will die today, she says. But let's get on with what you have to do. For the second exam, you will be required to go through a survival test. In the period of 5 days, while attempting to reach the center of the tower, you will be given a scroll, each one marked with heaven and earth. You will have to acquire both of the scrolls when reaching the center of the tower to qualify for the next round, by any means necessary. And failure to meet any of these expectations means failure of the exam. So, little genins, why don't you run? She says. But guys, that's all for this part. Peace.